We're still on 3.5, and we're still looking at dividing the polynomials. The next one that we're looking at here is what if I'm dividing by something that's not just a binomial. So we've been looking at binomials, but you can divide by trinomials, any more, quartics, quintics, anything you want. Like there's no limit. 3 is usually where we stop, but you could keep going. So we're going to do this. So this is the divisor, and that goes on the outside. So x squared, 2x, and 1. Okay, so that goes out here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put this one here, the dividend, inside, and we have to fill in any zeros that are missing. Were there any zeros missing here? X squared, x, 2x, 1. 2x is 1x, none?
I have gone.
Oh, all right. Want to move?
Oh, yeah.
Central. Okay. Okay, so we've got x squared, 2x, 1. So over here, okay, we've got 5x minus 2x cubed. I'm sorry, that's so small. Plus 3 and the x to the 4. So those are small there. We have to put those in order. So they have to be matching, right? It's like matching your 1,000 column with your 100 column, with your 10 column, with your 1 column. So it can't have this in descending if this is mixed up. So we do have to fix the order. So I'm going to go x to the 4 is the largest degree. And then I need the x to the 3, so minus 2x cubed. Then I need the squared, but there isn't one. So yes, you have to fill it in. It's like filling in your columns, right? Hundreds column, tens column. So I need 0x squared. Okay, and otherwise they don't line up properly. That's the reason. And then here, so it's 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the 3. All right. So same thing happens with when we were doing the binomials. Here we've got 1, 2, 3. So I take 1, 2, 3. Those 3 we're going to line these ones up here. So they're going to line up nicely. I still take the first term and divide it by the first term here. So we're going to take this one here. I'm going to go x. You don't have to show this, but x to the 4 divided by the first one here. And when you cancel that, that'll be x squared, right? So that'll be a 2. So then here we're going to go whoosh and put that over the third one. Why do I choose the third? Because 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take all 3 of those away. So I go x squared here. Okay. So then when I multiply, okay, so when I multiply, you don't have to show this part, but this is me going, okay, this is going to multiply with all 3 terms. 1, 2, 3, like distributive there. And then we're going to write it underneath. Okay, so you don't have to show what I just showed there in the pencil, right? That's just extra, but I'm going to multiply all of them. So I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to try blue, so it'll be here. That's x to the 4, x squared times that, 2x cubed, and this times this, x squared. Okay, and you'll notice, see, this is why we needed to fill in the columns. Look, it's x to the 4 matches, x cubed matches, and x squared matches. If I didn't fill in the 0, this would be lined up with an x, and they're not like terms, right? So that's the whole point. You're like, why do I have to? Because then, look, it lines up nicely. So then you can subtract the like terms, right? So do this. You're going to go minus, so make sure you never forget the minus, and then all 3 of the terms now. So I'm going to highlight that again. You're subtracting all of the terms, 1, 2, 3. The first 2 should always cancel out. We chose it, right? We did the division, so that should cancel out to 0. You can put a 0 or you can just cross it off when you subtract. Then you're doing the next subtraction, so you're going to go negative 2x cubed minus positive 2x cubed, so negative 4x cubed. Okay? 0 minus x squared, so minus x squared. Okay, and then we have to drag this one down because I want 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, to match the 3 terms, the trinomial here. Okay, so then I do the same thing. I have a trinomial with a trinomial. I'm going to go 4, negative 4x cubed divided by the biggest one here. Okay, and we're going to cancel the 2, so it's 1 left. And we drag this one over here, and we put it above the 5x. Again, this arrow stuff is just for your notes, you know. So I'm going to put negative 4x here, negative 4x. Okay, and then the same thing now we're going to multiply, 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 1, 2, 3, and place it under the 3. So 1 would get me negative 4x cubed. Good, that should match. This one times this one's negative 8x squared. Good, and that should match, the x squared with the x squared. And then negative 4x. Stop me if I'm wrong, right? Sometimes I'm not thinking, I'm getting my signs wrong, so stop me if I'm wrong. Then we're going to do subtract all 3 terms. I'm going to highlight that again. So it's minus all of them. Minus, minus, minus. All of them, you're going to subtract all 3. Okay. So negative 4x cubed, they match, right? Minus, minus, so those should cancel out completely. You can cross it off. You don't have to. You can just know that yourself it's gone or put a 0. Okay, next one. Negative x squared minus negative 8. Negative, so 7x squared. Positive 5 minus negative 4. So plus 9x. And then drag down. And that makes our 3 columns again. Right, so we want the 3 columns to match the 3 columns here, right? So we're going to go one more time. I'm going to do 7, the first one, divided by the first one. That cancels out the x's, so 7. That writes 7. Okay, and again, this stuff on the side you don't have to show. Okay, so then you go x squared into the x squared, or 7 times that, 7x squared. 7 times that, 14, and 7. And then, again, we're subtracting all 3. Right, all 3. Okay. These guys match. Perfect, which they should, because that gets me 0. They should be identical. And then you get 9 minus the 14, so negative 5x. 3 minus 7, so negative 4. And we know we have to stop because the degree of this is less than the degree of this. Okay? If I don't ask you for the multiplication statement, right, look at the question. If I don't ask you, you just stop there and I mark this. And hopefully it's all perfect. I love marking those if they're perfect. If not, I try to go back to see where the first mistake occurred. I'm like, where did it happen? Because usually it just follows through. You go, oh yeah, there it is, and then below that it's wrong. Okay, so I try to find your first mistake. Hopefully it's all perfect, so I just do that. If I ask you for the multiplication statement, this question is part G of example 1 or whatever, and it said to write it in the with the multiplication statement, so I'm just going to write it again. So the dividend, 5x minus 2x cubed plus 3 plus x4. I don't care which form you write it in. You don't have to replace the 0. Right? You're just saying the beginning question equals the divisor, and I don't care which order you put it in. So 1 plus 2x plus x squared times the quotient, right, the one that you found, that's x squared minus 4x plus 7, and then the remainder. So it'll be minus 5x minus 4, or you could say plus bracket negative 5x minus 4. I don't care. Same thing. Right? So that's the multiplication statement. Only do that if the question asks for it, so just read the question. If it doesn't, then I just mark your division. Okay. Questions? Comments? Good. We're going to do one more. So that's any number of polynomials it works. The one thing we haven't covered yet, the next example, is what happens if I have x's and y's. So you might say, wait, that's not polynomial. The polynomial ones we were looking at were with one variable. So, right, so the x, only x's. But, let me flip over, okay. So then what happens if I do, oh, I'll pause.